and welcome to Delight and Fright. I am Kat, and at the end, we have the lovely Luna. And in
Hi,
between,
everybody.
and smack between two lovely ladies, we have Charles D. Lincoln,
Hello.
writer and
Hey.
director of Bishop's Cove.
Yep. The family
Charles,
film.
how does it feel to be smacked in between two sexy ladies?
Yeah,
Ah,
just,
it's a very it's a lovely feeling. You know?
I know, and put him in Grand Central Station. Look at that. That's
Yes.
amazing. Look at that
Yes.
architecture.
Look at that. Look at that ceiling.
Hey, delight
Beautiful.
and a fright first. We get a look at Grand Central. This is
Hmm.
this is fantastic. I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
lots
was.
of crime has been committed there and horror and
Oh well, probably not in a while. It's very gentrified now. It's
uh,
yeah. It's not what it was when I was a kid.
The crimes happen on the trains, right?
Yeah.
So you're safe. You're safe now.
yeah,
Yes. Yes.
definitely. So, Charles, for our listeners and viewers who don't know who you are, can you introduce yourself and how did you find your way into directing and writing?
Well, hi. Hello, everyone. I'm Charles D. Lincoln. I am the writer, director, and one of the producers of the horror film Bishop's Cove, along with Chelsea Liz Sage, who played the Nameless in the film. We are basically, I started off as a musician, and then I lost hearing in one of my ears and was trying to figure out, well, I don't want to get a real job. What can I do with myself now? And eventually was like, well, I love writing. So I started writing stories, which I used to do as a kid. And in the process of that, I worked on a friend's music video. It was like, wow, this is actually really fun. I should start getting paid for this. And started going into film. And from there, I eventually found myself directing. I wrote and produced Teresa and Allison, directed by Jeremiah Kipp, which is this really extreme vampire film. I wrote and directed and produced this web series called 21st Century Demon Hunter, which was on Amazon for a while and now is available on DVD and Blu-ray. And for my first feature, I did Bishop's Cove, which was a labor of love that took, so long to do because we were dumb enough to start it in January of 2020. And then 3 months later, we couldn't shoot anything anymore. So it took a while, a lot longer than we thought when we were putting this together to make this film. But I'm very proud that it's out there now on Amazon Prime Video for people to watch. It's kind of it's a very dark and extreme film, but I'd like to think that we tried to make a story that where people actually care about the characters and it's not just wall-to-wall torture porn or whatever. We wanted to actually try to give people a story, even if things do get a little messed up. As
A little hairy.
yeah, they do get a little messed up as the film goes on.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just
a tad.
Yeah, we had to work really hard to not compromise on that because there were a lot of things investors wanted us to change. Starting with,
and that's why you have the not rated.
Yeah.
Is that hurting you being not rated?
Not really.
Good. You would hope these days it wouldn't.
Yeah, no, unless we're going for we had a limited theatrical release, but you can do like a limited run without an MPAA rating. It's if we were trying to get in like all the AMCs and all that we'd suddenly probably have to cut 45 minutes of the film out or something. But otherwise, it's fairly non-compromising. We still had to cut out like 25 minutes of the film. But that was more just for time. For our distributor wanted it under 2 hours, so I had to cut a lot of like the supporting characters' stories and stuff, which I put them up on YouTube because I want people to see them. And like one of my absolute favorite scenes that I think is a really, really funny scene had to be cut, where we just show how absolutely awful one of our antagonists is as a person. So I was kind of sad about that, but otherwise, like we kept in as far as gore and nudity and any of that sort of stuff, we didn't cut any of that for the theatrical version, and I'm very proud that we were able to, be fairly uncompromising with that, while also making sure that
So
we kept everyone
so
comfortable while we're shooting.
deleted scenes, does that include more of the residents of the town backstory? Because we saw some flashes
Yeah,
towards the end there, and I started to put some things together, but I was like, oh,
yeah.
I couldn't put more together, and I wanted to.
You learn a lot more about the antagonists.
Okay,
You learn about the sheriff. You learn about
nice.
the other people. Um,
And
they're
the nameless, I mean, Chelsea, she
Yeah.
does an amazing job. Those faces,
Oh yeah.
she was just having a great time. You could tell.
Oh
She
yeah.
was
Chelsea.
loving
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Chelsea. I've been working with Chelsea for now 10 years, and she was in 21st Century Demon Hunter. She helped me produce Teresa and Allison, and she's just an amazing, amazing actress. And I wrote The Nameless with her in mind, actually.
Nice,
So
nice.
I already told her, hey, I'm writing the villain for this kind of messed up Requiem for a Dream meets Hellraiser like type.
Yes, yes. No, that
Yeah,
makes total sense. And
yeah.
who did all the sound effects, like the creaking and the
Oh, that
oh
was
man.
Lake Zabrowski, our sound designer. Great, absolutely great, talented guy. Who hated me for having, like, I think several scenes with people throwing up, because he's like, that's the only sound he can't stand to hear, and he had
Because
to
he
have
joins
notes.
them.
Yeah, and he just had to have me giving him notes like, no, this doesn't sound wet enough, and so
Nice, nice.
sound design is when you get the most disturbing notes, when you're doing that particular job. Because
Yeah.
other stuff, it's like, oh, just add a little blood here or there. Like here, it's like, no,
Splatter.
that bone that bone doesn't like sound squishy enough as it's cracking, and you know, like I don't hear tendons, like it's things like that. So, we
Make it
we
more wet sounding.
yes, exactly. There that was probably my biggest note that I gave the most is make this sound wet. um, just because those little visceral things, when we hear them, they kind of, they let the imagination do so much work.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's so sound design, I think, and it's something I think a lot of horror films, like lower budget horror films, neglect. Sound design is the most important thing.
Hmm.
You can have a film that's shot on your like point and shoot, and if your sound design is great, people are going to be creeped out. But if you have, say, something shot on like like a red or something, and your sound design is crap, it's not going to be. People are not going to have the emotions you're trying to get when you're making the film.
It
Hmm.
won't show. Yeah, no, you're right. So let's talk about a little bit of the Bishop's Cove origin. Where
Sure.
did the idea for Bishop's Cove come from?
Believe it or not, it came from playing Silent Hill 3.
Yes, another gamer. We love
Yeah.
it.
Oh, I love. I'm a giant gamer. It's like I spend way more time playing video games than I probably should. Um, but yeah, I was playing Silent Hill 3, and the first hell scene popped into my head because I was thinking, boy, this would be horrible to deal with, but it'd be so much worse if you were naked. and,
Oh my
and
gosh.
it
This is
and
So
true.
yeah, and then it went from there. I don't write in a linear manner. I don't write from like beginning to end. I tend to write a bunch of scenes, and then after I've written like 6 or 7 scenes, I start writing like the connective tissue to put
Okay.
everything together. And how did we get to here? And how do we get, so there's various scenes that started off first. And it's if you knew which scenes it would be like, wow, this really seems like a weird movie. But it started off from Silent Hill and also Hellraiser, because I watched Hellraiser with Chelsea. She had never seen it, and I was just like, I miss the feeling that this film gave me.
Hmm.
And at the same,
yes.
yeah, and at the same time, I'll be the first to say, like, the demons in this are basically what my demons would look like if I was allowed to do a Hellraiser film.
Nice.
Oh.
I normally keep track of all the breast and the booty that I see in the
Yeah.
film. I lost track during this one. I'm all about the booty, and Luna,
Yeah.
she's all about the boobies. So
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
you feel there was sufficient boobies, Luna?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
had a nice little variety, you know?
Yeah.
Right? There were
Yeah.
variations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
it was
just
my whole thing.
captivating to be like, boom. It's like, hello, how you doing? You doing good? We good?
Yeah.
And I
Okay,
love
cool.
the jumping jacks. That's always great.
Oh yeah. That was that. Believe it or not, that was actually like with that sort of stuff because I'm way more political than a lot of people probably would like me to be. But like everything that was done in that particular scene is stuff that was done in like enhanced interrogation techniques and CIA black
Oh,
sites and
God.
what people would write
Mhm.
about that. So everything in there is stuff that's really been done to people. So I was like,
Yes.
let me, kind of, because that's one of
Mimic
the things.
that.
You're watching the film, you don't know that that's where I got it from. But if you read interviews or watch stuff like this and you hear it, I like kind of informing people a little bit about where things come from and maybe make them a little more aware of the world around them, especially with
Mhm.
everything going on now. you know,
Yeah.
I think people should very much be aware of like what happens to people when they're in kind of situations like that.
Yeah.
But
When they go missing, when they
yeah,
disappear.
yeah, and I think it definitely is something people need to be aware of and try to maybe the more awareness people have, the more maybe people will be able to do something about it. So
Or just
that's
have that additional vigilance.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But so I mean, that's the thing with all of those things that happen in that scene. All of those were things that are really done to people. That was a scene where we had with Emily, because Emily is incredibly brave doing all the stuff that's in this film. Um,
Absolutely.
and I gave her like a list because it's always important to me that my actors be as comfortable as possible, even if the scene is an uncomfortable scene. So I gave her like a list of every shot we were going to do, and it was just like, look through them. If there's any you're uncomfortable doing, let me know right away. We'll cut it out. And I think we only cut out 2 of them. I don't even remember what they were because I'm not going to argue with an actress over that. I'm just like, all right, you don't want to
You
do
were
that?
like
Fine.
just hoping
It's
she would
cut.
do half of them, right? You were like, if she does half, we'll have a movie. Oh my god, really? You good with
Oh
all
no,
this?
I know. No. I know Emily. Emily and I would have conversations where we'd literally be like, Emily would be like, I don't feel this is unpleasant enough, and we're not getting,
Nice. Nice.
we're not getting
Yeah.
the message across. So I'm like,
You,
okay,
you
great.
gotta
Well,
dance on the
what
line,
if we
right?
did this?
Yeah.
And so yeah, no, Emily is incredibly brave and incredibly
Nice.
creative, and like she would. There are times where she would definitely be like, I need to get more into the scene. You have to make it more unpleasant. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
That's
and you see the results of it in the film. So
that's another thing too. Know yourself. Like different I looked at the video of this one content creator did a video of those interrogation scenes where
mhm.
they took him and his friends to like one of those sites to do a mock one.
Mhm.
And what made some of his friends tap out didn't make him tap out and vice versa.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important as an actor actress to know like what is gonna make me tap out so I
Mhm.
know, or what isn't gonna really bother me to amp up the ante. There you go. Woo! Can't
Exactly.
talk. Cannot talk. But yeah, no, that's very important too to kind of
Oh,
know. And I saw on your IMDb that you are an activist. I'm very
yeah.
interested to see how you do that into your film.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of the things about the film is that I wanted to kind of tell not only a story about addiction and about, both forgiveness and revenge. But I also wanted to make sure that we talked a little about abuses by law, by authorities. My vampire film is basically just a film about class inequality. But as I was saying to people, I'm like, I didn't just make a film about class inequality because then it would be like 4 NYU political science students would watch it and no one else. So I made a movie with like boobs and blood and stuff. But the whole point of that was to talk about how the rich managed to exploit the poorer, classes and everything. So with this, a lot of it was about like police brutality. A lot of it was about, how we feel about punishment for particular crimes and how we feel about whether someone's been wronged, what exactly is justice. So that was a big part of
Because
that in
people
there.
are different, their thresholds are
Yeah,
different. Just
it
like,
is.
in the film, some people can do something wrong and one little thing and learn from it, while other
Yeah,
people, you need a stronger punishment. It's just we're all so different. We can't just
yeah,
singular say, oh, all people like this or all these situations have to do that, and vice versa.
exactly. And I think that's one of the problems in society these days is that we tend to be like, oh, this person, did this, that, the other thing. Let's go immediately after them right now. And
Yeah, we always think we know what's better for someone else.
yeah,
But then when it's
exactly.
in our backyard or when it's happening
Yeah,
to our family member, then we're like, wait, no.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's one of the things I really I wanted people to think. That for me,
Yeah.
that's the most important thing when I'm making, at least this particular film and the films I made so far is I want people to actually like think about things. Even like little touches. A lot of them were very, very strongly debated with myself and with my, for example, um, the lead character of Heather. When I wrote the script, her current significant other was a guy, and I had actually changed that because I didn't want it to seem like being into women was just a phase or something like that. I didn't want it to be like, oh, because a lot of people tend to write off a lot of LGBT stories if you kind of make it more like a phase or whatever. So
Mhm.
I wanted her to be taken, her relationship to be taken seriously, and I wanted to just present it as any other relationship instead of making a whole big, oh, she's with a guy now, so it's just a thing, whatever. Like that was something we debated on, and I really thought about that where I was like, well, I don't want to go and just make it seem, like that. At the same time, I didn't want to, participate in bi erasure, so it was kind of like a debate.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. So speaking of that a little bit, has audience feedback changed the way you see the film yourself now?
Not really. People have been I kind of knew what most people would say about it. I think I've heard some things that I love. Um,
Yeah.
like I think my favorite one was someone who told me he had to go watch a Disney film after watching it, and
Clean
and
the
then the other,
palate.
yeah,
Big
yeah,
soft there.
and then the other one that I really liked was someone saying, and this I felt just so complimented by was, it feels like what would happen if you gave a Clive Barker script to David Lynch.
Oh
Nice.
Which,
God,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
which, I'm a giant Clive Barker fan and a giant David Lynch fan, so that was like, oh my god, like
They got
we
the
did,
memo.
yeah, no, we did do focus testing and everything, like, but just with like horror fans and stuff. I'll be honest, I don't really care at all what like your average like Mall of America guy, thinks
Yeah.
about this film.
Mhm.
So I purposely looked for people who were horror fans online, and we showed them the film, and we did tweak the edit a little depending on their feedback. Like something like,
Oh.
yeah, like if there were things that they found confusing, we kind of made sure we cleared them up. Or if there were things that like they were like, hey, wait a minute, how did this happen? Or, we didn't. And then there was one scene that people thought was kind of redundant, so we just kind of, it was like just a minute and a half long scene that we cut out, and
Yeah.
it's on the deleted scenes on YouTube, but it was basically just on people like, that doesn't really add anything. I'm like, okay, cool. you know, I'm 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 very much open to hearing criticism from people I respect and people who are into the same kind of things I am. Like I knew if we had opened this up to the bigger mainstream world, they have a lot of changes that I wouldn't want to do.
Yeah,
But
no. It would change the movie
Mm.
entirely.
oh, exactly. You should hear some of the potential changes investors wanted us to do. Everything from turning Catalina into a guy, turning Heather into a guy, to getting rid of the kind of punk aspects of it and getting rid of the homelessness. And I'm like, well, what movie is this even?
Wow. What's wrong with I love the punk rock. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, no, it's that it all comes from when I was like in my 20s and I was like a homeless, because I had a not a great mother who forged my signature to get me off a lease, and so I was homeless
Mm.
for a while. And that kind of punk community in early 2000s NYC was saved my life, and so it was kind of my little tribute to a lot of them. Our the person who contributed a lot of the makeup, Kleber, um, who I think we called him. He went by Flame Hair New York. Just because to advertise his shop. But
Nice.
he was one of the people I met back then, and he let us borrow so much of the clothes that he still had for the
Nice.
wardrobe, for the flashbacks and everything.
Yeah, because that's going to be
Nice.
some of the most expensive wardrobe
Oh
pieces
God, yeah.
if you're trying to do
Oh
punk.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
No, like these are like authentic, like leather jackets with patches from like
nice.
bands that broke up in like 2002, and you know.
Yeah, stuff that you can't easily get your hands on.
Oh,
Mhm.
exactly. And so it was absolutely like, you see it more in the flashback scenes, but oh man, we had such great wardrobe on this. Everyone who contributed to this film just did an amazing job. I cannot say enough good things about the people I worked with. It's one of those things where like when we first got out and people will be like, oh, other people in the cast and crew will be like, congratulations. And I'm like, don't congratulate me. You're made this movie. Without you guys, I'm literally just a guy with a keyboard. I'm a guy at a laptop writing stuff.
Some scenes were so beautifully lit as well.
Oh, thank
Did
you.
you have any issues with that? Because like she would, Heather would run out of the darkness, or someone, and
Hmm.
but they were so clear with the darkness behind them,
Oh
and
yeah,
that
no,
was just very crazy to me how that was
yeah,
done.
we had Christopher By as our DP, and we had a number of different gaffers on set at any time. Like I think we had like 5 or 6 of them, depending on because of
Whoa.
COVID, we had to keep changing gaffers and
Mm.
stuff. Excuse me, but yeah, I am a big fan of using shadows. I'm a big fan. Chelsea jokingly refers to it as Charles lighting when it's just put as many shadows as possible into a scene,
Nice.
and because I feel like that's where the tension comes from. That's where the emotion of the scene comes from. Just
Mhm.
various like little things like having half of someone's face covered is completely different from just seeing them full on straight, like you see me now with all this lighting everywhere. It's a
Especially
complete
with a psychological horror, right? It's like what's
yes,
real, what's not real. I don't know, nothing's real. And I
yes,
love the
exactly.
the double wake up nightmare.
Oh yeah,
Those
yeah.
always get me, even like in real life. Always. It's like you dreamed you woke up and you're like, okay, and then like, no, you're still in the dream, sucker.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I love those. I'm a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan.
Nice.
If my had a dream project, it would be let me write a Nightmare on Elm Street film. And I love the whole like fake out and going into like, especially when you go into like different surreal psychological things and just all sorts of like the little fun touches, like the little scene that we have in that looks like a VHS tape, when
Is
it's
that
a
when
little
the demon's trying to be all
yes,
shiny and happy? It's like a
yes,
PSA. The
yes,
more you know. I love that.
yes,
I
The
love
yes.
more, the more you
and
know.
and whenever we did like the weird little like jump cuts with her, if you look, you only see them for like a quarter of a second, but every time we did that, in the corner of the screen is the FF. um so like, because I just thought that was a fun little touch to put in there. If she's kind of like going so fast that the eye can't see it, that it's kind
Mhm.
of like, okay, well, it's like watching a VHS tape and it being fast forwarded. But yeah, no, we had an amazing. I mean, the fact that like we have an orchestral score in this film, Um, you know, our friend David Denyer in England, he's like in Northern England, so he's able to get everything done a lot cheaper than we would in the States. And he put together just this unbelievable score for us. So it's I'm very proud that this is my first film. And when we saw it the first screening of it, and I get to be like, wow, this looks like a real movie. So
That's so funny. I know you've mentioned the wardrobe and now the orchestra. Can you talk a little bit more about other collaborations on Bishop's Cove that really elevated your film?
I mean, our practical effects department, I mean, it's probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
We did. I mean, we worked with Joshua Torrey from Designs to Deceive. We worked with Beatrice Sniper. We worked with Shannon Ray Mulligan. We worked with Maria Maturis. We had a lot of different makeup artists and a lot of different special effects people. Because we wanted, that Hellraiser thing to me is like, it's all about the practical effects. We sweetened a couple things with VFX a little bit, but I would say about 90% practical. And that's so important to me. And it's so important that you get a good practical effects people. And I've known Beatrice Sniper since before I ever even shot anything. And she's an absolutely amazing makeup artist. She's done like behemoth videos and stuff like that, and she's just unbelievable. Shannon Ray Mulligan's another one I've worked with for a while. She's done different demons for me um, in a bunch of different things I did, and she was very excited to be able to do the Joyless and the Nameless and everything. We
Who was it that did the Skinwalker? It's like she had a face on the back of her
Oh
head and
yeah,
boobs on the back of her
yeah,
head and three tits. I was like, yeah,
yeah, that's the Joyless. She was played by
nice.
Caitlin Ross Petit, and who's another just amazing like artist and activist who was so excited. She's like, oh my god, yes, I'll play like the living embodiment of misogyny. Sure, so
That's funny.
yeah, well, that's once again the thing with with the monsters and stuff. And I wanted to take that kind of Silent Hill, Hellraiser inspiration there, where everything kind of represents something, and it's kind of what the person sees in their head, and that's why it looks the way it does. If we ever were to do a sequel, I would actually make things look a little different, because it's someone else's head.
Mm.
So it's kind of that whole, as a gamer, when people point out that Pyramid Head shows up in Silent Hill 3, but it's Valtiel, the thing that's kind of climbing on the ceilings and stuff, and the elevators and everything. So it's kind of the same entity, but in a different form, because people see, James doesn't see it the same way that Heather does. And in fact, the main character was named Heather as my kind of nod to Silent Hill 3.
Nice.
So as Silent Hill 3 and to Nightmare on Elm Street, because it was
Yes.
I'm a big fan of both, so it was, it was me throwing in the things I love.
Nice. Did filming this, did any unexpected turns prevent you from finishing on time, or was there anything that you learned?
Oh, well, don't shoot during a pandemic is probably one of them.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
oh man, that was fun because we had so many delays. It's not even funny. We would like, because I'm a big believer in rehearsals. That's when I don't like to do more than like 3 or 4 takes of stuff. So I like to make sure we do like just rehearsal after rehearsal after rehearsal and get everything like, so all the actors know their stuff and everyone's ready to go. And so we'd have everything ready. We're all ready to shoot. And then, because it's COVID, we had to have everyone get tested and everything.
Oh
And
gosh.
yeah, so it would be like, all right, we're all ready to shoot. We're great. And then, the call like the day before of like, oh, yeah, the
So and
gaffer.
so has COVID.
Yep, so and so has
Uh,
COVID, or this person, is coughing, and it's like, oh, okay, well, let's delay for 10 days. And let me call up everyone in the cast and crew and find out who's available in 10 days. And that happened
Let me get
probably.
all these dead bodies and blood and try to see how long it'll.
Oh yeah, no, that happened about maybe a dozen times during the filming of this. That's why this film took like 3.5 years to finish, because we were just constantly having to deal with with this
testing and
yeah. And even then, like it snuck through once, and thankfully I was the only one to catch it. Where our driver had it, and she had 3 negative tests, and I was sitting right next to her. And then the next day, I don't feel great, and she's like, "Oh, Charles, I just got a positive test." I'm like, "Oh, all right. Well, let's make sure all the other actors get tested." And I was the only one to catch it. I guess that's good and not good at all, because I felt horrible. But
yeah.
yeah, that was fun. But yeah, it was. That's the biggest lesson I learned there, is don't shoot during a pandemic.
Oh no. And that was your first movie, right? If I understand.
The first one I've directed. Yes, I've produced and written Teresa and Allison. But that was directed by Jeremiah Kipp, who also did Slapface, which is he also did another thing that I don't remember the title. He did a bunch of things, but not remembering the titles of the other features. But basically I worked with him first and foremost because I didn't know what I was doing. I was like new to the industry, and I'm not going to be arrogant about it. I'm not going to be like, all right, I'm just going to do my first feature. I don't know how everything's done. I'm just going to do it. And no, I worked on that one. I was producer. I acted in it, and I was also AD whenever we'd have extras. So I learned so much on that one. And then when we had to do a couple reshoots, I was the director, the second unit director on those. So that was kind of like my first kind of directing. There's like a couple shots. It's not even scenes. It's shots in that film that I've directed.
Wow.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, to make the film more unpleasant.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I gotta give you major props though, because it was the very first film that you directed under such crazy circumstances. So
thank you.
it must have felt like a very uphill battle, and you were able to like navigate that. So hopefully the next film you do make is not gonna have that many challenges as
hopefully not. Hopefully not. The next one I make is more a horror comedy thing, because this is a really heavy film. So
yeah,
it was like, let me do something that's a lot like lighter and still a little messed up here and there, but still like a more absurd film. Something that's it's funnier. Like we put a whole lot of, there's so many weird things in it that like I didn't even realize were weird until like people started sending me audition videos, and I was like, oh yeah, no, that is really weird. Little things like like priests who know like martial arts, who are like a trio of like
ass for the Lord.
Oh no, I stuck that line in there. I stuck that line in there. Get alive.
I kick ass for the Lord.
Oh, I kick ass for the Lord. But it's a lot more of like a more it's one of those films where you get like 100 characters and people show up for like 2 scenes and then die. So
more comedy driven. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm glad you're doing something like that. That seems like it'll be fun to direct.
Yeah, well, I don't want to be just like the guy who makes like dark, depressing, like I'm my Jeremiah Kipp once said that I basically have like, if I could have my way, I'd be like American Takashi Miike.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, because I love.
Awesome.
I'm such a big fan of his stuff, and it's all so different. Like Ichi the Killer is so different from Audition, and it's so different from like Happiness of the Katakoris, or or any of those sort of things. And
you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I want to do. Is I want to be that type of filmmaker that I can make like a Bishop's Cove, but I can also make like something that's like a thing 20 years from now, college kids will get high at like a Friday night and watch with their friends and be like,
Nice.
you have to see this movie, man. This is just weird stuff.
Nice.
So, I'm all about, like, I love horror. Horror is probably my favorite genre. I grew up with my dad giving me Starlog magazines. So I knew how practical effects were done and everything. My dad was not as fond of the horror genre as I was, because if you, I don't know if you've seen, everyone's seen Last House on the Left, but most people are unaware of how much my dad hated that movie.
Yeah, it's a rough one.
Yeah.
It's not one that you can watch many times and be like, this is my favorite movie.
Yeah. My dad, one of my favorite things is my dad on the commentary for Last House on the Left is all like, yeah, my kid tells everyone I was in this film. And he goes, and he keeps embarrassing me, telling everyone that I'm in this. Or like when there's an interview on there where they talk about how Last House on the Left was one of the video nasties, and it was, completely banned in England. And they asked the various cast members how they felt about that. You get to my dad, and he's like, good. I wish it would have been banned in America, too, so no one could see it.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
So he was not a big horror fan, but he knew that I was, because I used to love stuff like Rosemary's Baby and The Omen and stuff like that as a kid. And so he would, get me all these magazines so I could see how stuff was made. I think the first movie he ever took me to was Alien. So
Nice.
it was,
that is so badass.
Yeah, so I kind of grew up like, seeing a lot of those films and everything. The negative side effect is no movie has ever scared me, because I knew how it was made. But which is one of the reasons why I think horror video games are a big influence on me, because horror games have scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Have you
like
gone to like Halloween Horror Nights or anything like that and never got scared?
No, I have not. I have not, but I would. I'm open to going and checking it out.
You should try it out, because I'm that way too. And then I go and I purposely put myself in the front, else I like see all the scares coming.
Yeah.
But I'll be like looking for the scares, and then there's an employee just standing there with a light. I jump out of my skin. This poor girl is probably like, oh my God, I swear I used deodorant. Like, she gets just out of nowhere. I'm not expecting that. So I'm just like, you know what I mean? So that might get your heart going.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely be open to giving that a shot. It's one of those things where, like, having grown up not being afraid of movies and then playing the first Resident Evil, and then I remember my grandmother coming into the room to talk to me and me screaming at the door opening. It's just like, oh wow, so this is the influence I want to bring in when I make movies. Is that kind of like
has that sense of urgency. That's why I can't play a lot of them. I'm just like, my PTSD just goes crazy. And I'm just like, I just like drop the remote. I can't.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, Resident Evil 7 is one of the most horrifying experiences of my life if you played in VR. It's one of the few ones where the mother vomiting insects on me was a moment where I was like, okay, I'm gonna put this down for the night. That's no more Resident Evil for the rest of the night.
I'd be a mess, especially if there were cockroaches. I'm done.
Yeah,
even the digital ones, just hearing them.
Oh yeah.
Gross.
Insects and creepy crawlies.
I was just gonna say, I will say Beatrice is always trying to get me to put a roach in my films, and I'm like, no, I'm not putting roaches in there. Because she's like, I have access to Madagascar hissing cockroaches if you want them. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to have those running loose on my set.
That's funny.
No,
so what moment in your life, Charles, made you think, okay, this is really what I want to do for the rest of my life? What moment kind of cemented that for you?
I mean, for me, it was obviously going deaf. I went deaf for about a month, not from being around loud music, but from just a condition I was born with called Meniere's disease. And it made me lose hearing in both ears for a month, and I've managed to save the hearing in this ear. This ear is still deaf, but it became one of those things where I was like, well, I can't really be, a musician when my hearing was distorted for a while and everything. So I really looked at like what I wanted to do um, with the rest of my life at that point. I'm a late bloomer in film. I didn't get into it into my 30s. So, that was one of the things where I was like, well, what am I going to do? And it's like, well, I always wanted to explore it. I was always interested in it because even though, my dad, he worked in, he worked in porn at a certain point. But he always treated it like real film. When talking to him and stuff, he always was like, he treated it way more seriously than anybody else treated it in that porn industry. And he used to tell me how much he absolutely despised when it became just a cheap, I can't pay for my package, baby. I can find some way for you to pay for it. Like
it's like it's hard to find some that you believe the two people actually care for each other a little, just a little.
Well, he's from the 70s when like they actually were having like plots and stuff in that. And that's when he was like, oh, I can explore this whole new realm and everything. And then in the 80s, it just became, oh, no, we don't care about a story. Just give us, boobs. And he hated that so much. And he used to make me sit through the credits of films so I would see that everyone who was behind the scenes was just as important as the actors.
Nice.
And he really, really emphasized a love of filmmaking to me. So, my own love that I really fell in love with music. But once that kind of became an iffy prospect, it became, well, I have such respect for film and such love for film, so let me go into that industry.
Now, since you are deaf in that one ear, did you ever learn ASL?
I have not. I was going to, and then I learned, and then I fixed the hearing in this ear.
In that ear.
Yeah.
I have a ASL class starting tomorrow that I'll be doing. So I'm very excited for that venture in my life, and I'm looking forward to communicating with everybody that is deaf. So I'll be able to
that's wonderful.
Say hello in sign language and thank you and all the fun stuff.
That's wonderful. Yeah, it's something that, like I said, I really was looking into during that like 1 month where I couldn't hear anything.
Oh gosh, I can imagine.
Yeah, it was a very depressing and not great time for me, but that's why we have art to go and work through our our various traumas and and horrible experiences in life.
And what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I know that's a thing that is said a lot, but it is very real because now you have that depth to you of that understanding of, man, this could have really been bad if I lost my hearing permanently. Oh, yeah. So you have that newfound like experience, and it can change you and mold you, and and I think it's very important to have things. If nothing bad ever happened to you, and imagine how boring we would kind of be. We would just be these empty vessels.
I also think people don't really appreciate a lot of the good things they do have until bad things happen.
Yep.
That's true.
So, true. As a horror filmmaker, I'm pretty much my job is to just show people bad things happening. So I hope that, it in some way it kind of makes people like appreciate what life is like, and also at the same time make them think about people who have life that's worse than theirs.
Awesome. And Charles, earlier we were talking about how I appreciated that there was still some dong in the film.
Yes.
And there was a lot of boobies, and you said there was a story that you had about
why. It came from Teresa and Allison, because there's a scene in there where, it's a vampire film, and I have kind of like a freezer kind of for the vampires in one scene. And we had a naked male actor in that. And Sarah Shopes, who played Allison in that film, was so excited about that. She was like, "Oh my God, you have penis in the film." And I'm like, "Yeah, so what?" And she's like, "You don't understand. In most movies I'm in, I'm the only one who's nude." She's like, "I've done like sex scenes where the guy is fully dressed and I'm totally naked, and like they just make it look like he unzipped his pants or whatever." So she was very impressed that I was like a filmmaker who was not afraid to put a penis in the film. So it kind of became a thing I try to do now in every film.
Nice,
to put a
nice.
Venus in there, because otherwise I feel like I'm letting Sarah down.
Yeah.
So,
Don't let Sarah down.
yes,
No. It has to be a
I need
virgin
to make
profile.
T-shirts. Don't let Sarah down. Or just
yes,
like sit in front of filming.
with a dog on the back.
With a big dog on the back, yeah.
Yes,
Nice,
It's,
nice.
absolutely. That's a great shirt idea.
yes.
Now, since you are a musician,
Hmm.
if Bishop's Cove were a song or album,
Hmm.
what would it be?
Ooh,
Oh gosh, probably something from like, probably like Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds or something. Just something like
nice.
dark and
Nice. With some
dark
Iron
and kind of
Maiden.
bad. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess. Yeah, if you really want to get into that. Yeah, no, like this was very much like I would say like not, I don't know, like a lot of like I write with music, like listening to music and stuff, and like I didn't listen to very much metal while writing this. Um I listened to a lot of like punk from like the early 2000s, and I also listened to like a lot of like just really dark. Silent Hill 3 soundtrack was one of the things, and then there was all Silent Hill 2 soundtrack as well. But there was also like just a lot of very dark orchestral things I was listening to, and just
Nice.
a lot of that. Yeah, like I tend to have like a playlist for different things, so I can get myself into a certain mood.
Nice.
That's awesome. For me, I definitely thought of Nine Inch Nails because some
Oh
Nine Inch
yeah,
Nails, especially Closer.
oh yeah,
Closer makes me really uncomfortable, and that's
hmm
kind of the same vibe. Like I'm just like,
yeah,
nope, don't want to do that like an animal.
yeah.
Please don't. You're
Yeah,
weird.
I can see, especially some of the videos that Nine Inch
Mhm.
Nails had from like the Downward Spiral era and
Yes.
the Broken era. Um, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, there's a little bit of that.
It definitely gave me Nine Inch Nails
Yeah.
vibes and very artsy but very like
Oh
unsettling
yeah.
as well.
Yeah, we were trying to make sure that things were beautiful, but also like very unpleasant. So,
Yes, yes. Well, as we wrap up, Kat, do you want to mention anything else or
No, I just we have our What's in the Box challenge, guys, our
mhm.
subscription drive with a autograph photo from Elvira herself. And I've been
Awesome.
posting it on social media as well. She donated that to us
That's
because I wrote her
wonderful.
a letter and I was going through a tough time and she's just a big sweetheart and really
Hmm.
cared. So all you have to do is subscribe. You can even be a subscriber already. That's cool. Just put your email on any of the comments anywhere on our YouTube and we'll add you into that drawing.
Wonderful. That's great.
so Charles, where can people follow your work and support what you're doing next?
Well, they can stream Bishop's Cove if you have a Prime subscription on Amazon Prime Video. Teresa and Allison is on Plex right now, but it is also available in DVD and Blu-ray from Burning Bulb Entertainment or Publishing or whatever. I forget what the actual website is, but you can get it on like any, you can go to like Walmart or Amazon or any of those sort of Best Buy or any of those sort of websites and get the DVDs or Blu-rays of both that and the horror comedy web series I had, 21st Century Demon Hunter season 1 director's cut. You can also get that on DVD and Blu-ray. So yeah, but yeah,
Ooh.
the big one, check out Bishop's Cove on Amazon Prime Video. It's
Prime
the
Video.
Yep, the feel good film of the year. And,
Maybe for the nameless, maybe.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, the Nameless seems pretty happy throughout most of the film.
Yeah.
So,
For the most part, yeah. So
yes,
at least someone's happy.
Yeah. Someone's
yes,
happy to enjoy life.
yes, exactly.
Oh,
But yeah, that's where you can reach me. You can also find me on Instagram at charles.d.lincoln. And Bishop's Cove is Bishops_Cove, I believe, on Instagram. And also Charles D. Lincoln on YouTube. You can check out,
Okay.
yeah, various stuff for me, some short films I've done, some trailers, some commentary on stuff, and as well as just sometimes me being silly, especially with like Chelsea and I like reviewing movies and going on about various nonsense. So you can check all that out on YouTube, Charles D. Lincoln, and then Charles.D. So that Charles dot okay, here we go. Let's try again. This is why we do multiple takes in film. Charles.D.Lincoln on Instagram. And check out Bishop's Cove on Amazon Prime Video.
Woohoo! Not sponsored, but yes. Not sponsored by Prime, but
that's my buddy Christ pose for you. So because I'm a big Dogma fan.
Well, have fun. Enjoy your time at Grand Central Station.
Well, thank you. It is. I will go places from here.
Yay.
I will.
Good.
I will travel from here very soon.
Okay.
I actually need to find a charger because my phone's at 4% at this point. But that's enough.
You have fun.
But yeah.
Well, let's show Charles real quick before his phone dies how we say goodbye here at Delight and Fright. We're big Cthulhu Elder God fans.
Awesome.
So we get a little tentacle action.
Okay.
Tentacle action.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. See you guys on the flip side.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Hello, boils and ghouls. It's your old pal, John Cassier, the voice of the Crypt Keeper. And I want to thank you for listening to Delight and Fright with your hosts, Luna and Cat, a podcast for outcasts.